Tuesday. You know what that means. It's time for another episode of Sigdaddy's Wrestling Show. I'm your host, Skylar Sigdaddy Sigmund, joined by J.O. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. Doing good. Glad to be back.
Yeah, you're gone for 1 week, but you did return. You're returning this week, and it's going to be a special episode here on the show because you get a little bit of an insight on our wrestling fandom here on this episode of Sigdaddy's Wrestling Show. Today's episode is going to be J.O. and I's top 5 favorite matches of all time. But before I get into that, I wanted to let you know next week's episode is going to be all about AEW Dynamite because this week it's the 2-year anniversary show of AEW Dynamite. So we're going to go over our top moments from the show in its first 2 years in existence. It's crazy. Time has flown by. 2 years of AEW Dynamite, and they're doing great stuff.
2 years. I remember when there was just news where Cody Rhodes was getting a bunch of his friends together and we're going to start their own wrestling promotion. I was like, oh, that could be cool. Like, that might be fun for a little bit. But little did we know that little, air quotes since you guys can't see me, that little wrestling promotion would become what it is today. And you could honestly say it's changing the landscape of wrestling today.
Oh, it certainly is. And the funny thing is, like, we haven't really gotten to see, like, okay, so the company technically started on TV like last October or whatever. In October, 2 Octobers ago. They've only had they hadn't even had a full year of TV really. What with fans, like a full fan base there. They hadn't even had a full year of that during their time on television, which is absolutely insane to think about because they started in October of 2019. By March of 2020, it was pandemic mode, and they hadn't. And then up until Double or Nothing this year, they didn't have a full audience, which is incredible. They survived that and were able to come out bigger and better than ever.
I say it just goes to show, like, the management and the passion of the people over there that they fought super hard during that crazy hard time of COVID and everything to keep that promotion going. Mm-hmm. And they deserve all the success that they have right now.
Yeah, for certain. Not going to waste any more time, though, because we're going to get started here on the top 5 favorite matches of all time. So we're going to do 5 to 1, of course. We're going to mention some honorable mentions if we have any at first. So, J.O., I know you had one at least, and what was your honorable mention match?
My honorable mention match was Elimination Chamber 2018. I liked that match. See, so the reason what was hard was I had to find matches that I really liked throughout. And I had to cut off matches that I really liked, but only because one spot or two. And Elimination Chamber 2018 was that match because while the entire match was good, everyone in it was great. The thing that I really liked about it the most was in the beginning when it was The Miz, Seth Rollins, and Finn Balor. And Miz, the comedic genius, tried to get Seth to team up with him. Seth said no. Then he tried getting Finn to team up with him, and he threw up the 2-sweet. I just lost it when I first saw that.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. That's hilarious. I don't remember that match. What was it, for the IC title or what was it?
I think it was for the Universal at the time because it was a pretty star-studded match. It was, Braun Strowman, Finn Balor, Seth Rollins, John Cena.
Oh, that was that storyline where Cena was trying to get into WrestleMania and end up facing Taker later on, right?
Right. Yes. And I also remember that because it was also, I'm pretty sure it was around peak monster Braun Strowman. They had this man kick out of everyone's finishers. Everyone pinned him, and he kicked out.
And look at him now. He's not even with the company.
Not even with the company. Yep. I was just about to say that.
And, yeah,
Yeah,
let
that
me
was one
look.
of my honorable mentions.
Oh, it was Roman Reigns. Yeah. Okay, yeah, that's when then that was the Roman Brock match where everyone crapped on it at WrestleMania 34. We watched that together.
We did,
We
yes.
did watch that together, and that was pretty rough. That was pretty rough. But some of my honorable mentions include Kurt Angle versus Samoa Joe from TNA Genesis 2006. Cody Rhodes versus Dustin Rhodes from AEW Double or Nothing 2019. You remember that match, Jo? We watched it together. That was some great
Very
stuff.
bloody match. A very bloody match.
Dustin had the Muda scale going for that one for sure. The 2 out of 3 falls match for the vacant NXT Championship, Johnny Gargano versus Adam Cole, NXT TakeOver New York from back in 2019. AJ Styles versus John Cena from Royal Rumble 2017. That was a WWE title match where John Cena won his 16th World Championship. Kofi Kingston versus Daniel Bryan for the WWE Championship at WrestleMania 35. Hardy Boys, Dudley Boys, Edge and Christian. That one just barely missed the list. I changed my mind a couple of times on that. Dudley Boys versus Edge and Christian, TLC 2 from WrestleMania X7. And I also wanted to throw in there Sasha and Bayley from NXT TakeOver Brooklyn in 2015. Match that really kicked off the women's revolution, really, for sure. So like Jo was saying, it's very subjective. Like Jo was saying, we picked it based on our love. Yours could be totally different. This is totally subjective on our parts. Like, this is completely subjective, and it was very tough to narrow it down to 5.
Right, and I tried being. Some of the things I struggled with were recency bias. It's easy to remember the ones that just happened this year, this month, and I also tried staying away from my favorite wrestler. Because if you asked me again right now what some of my other honorable mentions would be Brock Lesnar versus Finn Balor, Royal Rumble. That'd be an honorable mention.
Oh, that was a good one, yeah.
Finn Balor versus Seth Rollins, SummerSlam. If that gives you a hint who my favorite wrestler is.
I don't know. Maybe it's Brock Lesnar. Wait, no, it's Finn.
Oh, speaking of which, one of the reasons I was so close is I know people could call me crazy, but I believed Finn could have pulled off the win that night. I believed he could have.
Yeah, I just know it was more believable that he would win there and then against Roman recently.
I would agree.
The big turnbuckle debacle that happened.
Oh man, let's not get into that. We could be talking. I could be talking for a while if we got into that.
Yeah, we could. Yeah, I was pretty. And then the whatever the heck that was that he did the stupid wake up thing with the heartbeat. Did you not?
I thought that was kind of cool. I'm sorry.
I hated that. I thought that was a ball of cheese, and I hated it. But let's not waste any more time. Jaya, what's your number 5?
Number 5. This may surprise you of a comment I said when I was going to make this list. Number 5. Wrestle Kingdom 12. Will Ospreay versus Marty Scurll versus Hiromu Takahashi versus Kushida. That's right.
Holy crap! I did no idea that you were going to have a Wrestle Kingdom match in there. Damn!
First and I guess only Wrestle Kingdom match that I watched, but holy crap. Of course I knew what New Japan was, knew what they were all about, but when I saw that match, New Japan's first Fatal 4-Way match ever, I saw what some of those guys were capable of, and I was blown away. I love a good spot fest, and some of the things those guys were doing, moonsaults on the top of the rope to guys outside. I'm pretty sure Will Ospreay caught, I want to say it was Kushida, who jumped off the turnbuckle, caught him midair into an armbar. You just don't see that stuff in WWE. It was insane.
Wow. So wait, I can't. I'm speechless right now. So it was Takahashi, Ospreay, Scurll, and who else?
Hiromu Takahashi or Kushida. I'm sorry, I didn't.
Oh, Kushida. Kushida.
Kushida, yeah.
Oh my gosh, man! You surprised me. You surprised me, caught me off guard there. My number 5 is an AEW match. Young Bucks versus Hangman Adam Page and Kenny Omega from AEW Revolution 2020. So this one, Meltzer gave it a 6-star rating, but that's beside the point. This was just great storytelling from the Bucks and Kenny and Hangman Adam Page. They told a great story. Matt sold the back like a pro, because he had the back injury that they always exploit with Matt Jackson. It's like the HBK back thing. But the Bucks kind of being sort of jealous that 2 singles guys were able to win tag gold before them. Hangman's drinking problem, and like Hangman's falling out with the Elite. And there was like great storytelling elements with like Matt losing his cool multiple times when Hangman spat in his face. Kenny, they attack Kenny's injured shoulder, who he wrestled Pac earlier that week in a 30-minute Iron Man match. The last 10 minutes of this match were just absolute magic. Like Page takes an indie taker on the stage. Eventually, it's Kenny in the ring. Matt's got him set up for the Meltzer driver. Page recovers, hits a power bomb on Nick, and then like there's a callback to like Marty Scurll's crossface chicken wing. This is before the speaking out movement, speaking out thing, before he got kind of exposed. Marty did. But and then Matt and Nick using the golden trigger on Kenny and Ibushi's move. Then there was a Meltzer. Yeah, so Page powerbombs Nick through the table ringside. Buckshot V trigger. Matt somehow kicks out of it. The near falls. They have you like biting on him, holding on. It's like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. And then Matt gets super kicks Kenny. Page hits a one-winged angel after Kenny fails to do so. Nick breaks it up. Then a buckshot to Nick on the outside, then a buckshot to Matt to end it. And then there's a tease at the end where Page is like standing on the apron. Is he going to attack Kenny after the match? And he doesn't. And they all find out later on the Bucks and Kenny were really the bad guys in this whole situation. But it was a fantastic tag team match. That's probably the best like singles, like the best just 2-on-2 tag match I've probably ever seen. Storytelling and moves and everything with it.
So would you say you're looking at your list, do you think there's a lot of similarities in that in terms of storytelling? Like, do you think there's a lot of storytelling in all your matches?
I think so, yeah. It has to have story. I think matches for me, I love moves though. I absolutely love moves. I love me a good spot fest. I do. I love the combination. It has to be a combination. It can't be just storytelling and not a lot of moves. I can't get into that. That's like some modern day WWE stuff that I see. It's storytelling and not a lot of moves. I need to have a combination of the moves and the storytelling. And yeah, that's going to probably be kind of a theme in my list of stuff, is the storytelling elements from each match.
Okay.
How about you?
I was looking at mine and I was thinking about it. I think there's only one that when people think about this match, the first thing they say is this story. Most of mine are either spot fests, like honestly the Fatal 4-Way, but most of these are really, spot fests or just the star power involved that are kind of one-offs, not a whole lot of story. But, we can talk about those when we get there.
No, that's fine. That's fine. See, that's where it's all subjective. It's all great in this world. And we have different opinions on like what we think are the best or our favorites, because everyone can like different stuff in wrestling. It's not like, oh, cookie cutter, you have to like this or you're just an idiot. Because that's kind of what the Twitter universe says these days is, oh, you like this? Oh, that's stupid. You like this? Oh, that's stupid.
And my favorite wrestler is better than yours. That's basically how it is.
Oh my gosh. Well, whatever. Let's move on to number 4. What's your number 4 match on your top 5 favorite matches of all time?
Number 4, Survivor Series 2019, Team Raw versus Team SmackDown versus Team NXT. And I'll tell you why with 3 words. Limitless Keith Lee.
Oh my
He looked
gosh.
amazing in the ending of that match.
You know what's sad though? They never capitalized off of the momentum.
He never capitalized it. And
Now
I remember wrestling Twitter was blowing up because they thought just letting Keith Lee being the final 3 versus Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns, and then letting him beat Seth Rollins clean, it's like they're gonna take this guy to the moon. But nope, they made him wear a shirt and changed his entrance music.
And then he's now kind of going into a heel character now, which could be interesting. I just don't let the guy do what he does to make him unique. That makes him unique. The dude can fly around for a freaking 330-pound wrestler. Let him fly around. You don't have to wrestle one way if you're a big guy.
I don't know why they think we don't want to see that. Like, yeah, he's big and he can do big man moves, but yeah, like you said, he's flying through the air. Let him do that. People want to see that.
Mm-hmm. And so what else did it make kind of get you in the top 4? Well, I think you just explained it with that last 3. And it was just a really good match. I remember it.
I mean, yeah, of course, like I said, the ones that made the top also had the great moments, but were good matches throughout. And honestly, I mean, the same could be said about most the Survivor Series elimination matches, just the star power. Like
even 2016 was fantastic too.
2016 was also very close. That was also a very close one.
Because I remember that one. That was with AJ, Jericho, Ambrose was in there too. Like that was Shane McMahon was in there as well, Roman. Like that was just a stacked, like, star-studded lineup in 2016.
Oh, that was a great.
KO there too. KO was there.
Oh yeah. Oh, this was when they were still friends. Yeah.
Yeah. Those. I think that was the last great time in WWE, really, and on Raw.
It could have said that, yeah. That
was the last time Raw was really good. I thought it was 2016 because KO and Jericho on there had such good chemistry.
Oh, they put Raw on their back, carrying it with that storyline, and let's not forget the list.
The list. Oh my gosh. Okay. So for my number 4, this one, so like I said, the TLC 2 was in at number, I think it might have been 4 or 5. And then today I was deciding, like, I don't know. I really like this match, so I'm going to put it in there. And then I dropped the Young Bucks and Hangman Adam Page and Kenny Omega down to 5. This match I chose was Kurt Angle versus The Undertaker from No Way Out 2006. It's kind of a hidden gem, as they like to call it. This match doesn't get the love that it deserves. Like, honestly, Dave Meltzer only gave it 4 stars, which I don't even understand how that's even humanly possible to give this match 4 stars. But that's his thoughts on it. Mine, it's much better than that. But it doesn't get the love it deserves. Taker's use of MMA in this match was really good. Coupled with Angle. At this point, Angle's the wrestling machine. He's a freaking maniac. Intensity beyond belief. And there was multiple times throughout this match. So, like, Angle at one time on the outside gets the ankle lock on Taker. He catches Taker in it. And then I think it was on a leg drop. Taker goes for a leg drop, his signature apron leg drop. He catches it and just starts wrenching on the ankle. And throughout the rest of the match, Angle finds a way to do it. Like, he counters a last ride into a roll through pinning thing, and then he gets the ankle lock. And there's like 3 different ways he gets the ankle lock on Taker throughout the match. Taker doesn't give up. Taker sells it like death. Like at the end of the match, so Angle hits a second Angle slam on him, and then goes to stack him up for the pin, and then Taker catches him in the triangle, and then Angle's like passes out for a second, wakes up, stacks Undertaker up into a bridge, and that's it. 3 count, that's over. Taker thought he won. Dude, it was just fantastic. It went almost 30 minutes.
Whew.
And that was Taker. Taker had, I don't remember he hadn't really had great matches for quite a while. Like his last great matches were like against Orton, like in '05. But like really outside of that, he hadn't had a standout match. This was his best match like in a long time since his like return to the dead man persona.
Say definitely a hidden gem because it took me a minute to remember that one because I almost forgot that feud.
Yeah, it was.
I'm sorry, I almost forgot that one.
No, it was like Taker returned at the Royal Rumble that year. Angle had won it in a battle royal after won the World Heavyweight Championship in a battle royal because Batista was injured. Batista got injured at that point, and then that gave Angle the title, which ultimately led to Rey Mysterio winning the world title at WrestleMania 22. So, but it's a hidden gem. If you haven't already, go out and check it out on Peacock. Just find it somewhere because it's like a fantastic wrestling match that I don't think gets enough love as it is. All right. Number 3 for you, Jo.
All right, number 3. I say it counts. If you say it doesn't matter. It's my list. WrestleMania 36, Bray Wyatt versus John Cena, the Firefly Funhouse match. That is my number 3 favorite match of all time.
That's, you know what? That's good. It's a match. It's a match.
And the match is in the title.
And that's storytelling. That's storytelling. That's a lot of storytelling. Right. And I personally enjoyed that match too.
The thing is I always love it when WWE surprises us. And by surprises us, I mean does the exact. Of course, I mean a surprise is when they do the exact opposite of what you say. But everyone knows WWE superstars can say only certain things about WWE as a product. You know, they can only talk good about it. But they really let Bray Wyatt dissect their golden boy, John Cena, in a way that, wow, they're really going to let him do that? Say that stuff about him, the company, like other people from the company? I was blown away. And to see Bray Wyatt's character work there as the Fiend, it was like Bray Wyatt just had this character and drove with it. It was insane to see on screen.
And like I remember them mentioning like him getting buried pretty much at WrestleMania what was it, 30. They were talking about his burial at WrestleMania 30, and I'm like, he kind of did. Bray should have won that match.
Right.
Like there's no doubt about it. Because in the character work and the promos leading up to the match were fantastic too.
Oh, they absolutely were. I mean, I just think of the Fiend. When I think of the Fiend, I don't think of the mask or the creepy entrance music or anything like that.
The red lighting.
I think of Bray Wyatt's character work, the promos, the everything like that. Like, this guy is almost insane to have this kind of person inside him. Mm-hmm. I loved it.
Yeah, I think we talked about this before, but I liked that match better than the Boneyard match, honestly.
Oh, definitely better than the Boneyard match.
Like the Boneyard match I think that gets more credit than the Firefly Funhouse match. It's because people didn't really, I don't think, get it as much as the Boneyard match and the nostalgia with the Undertaker and everything, and this being his his final match. It was kind of made as a bigger deal as the Firefly Funhouse match. I thought it was a better story overall because it tied back to 6 years prior at WrestleMania 30, and then it brought back up here. And almost at one point they had John Cena portraying himself as some guy in the NWO, which and the underlying meaning of that, kind of in a way, is like him turning heel. But if you look at it another way, it's him, because the NWO had a thing of burying people because they never got their favor returned. Pretty much, they didn't get it handed back to them, and Cena really hardly has ever gotten that.
Yeah, it's just crazy. That's part of the why I thought it was so surprising that WWE let themselves, because obviously Bray Wyatt had put, if it was Bray Wyatt's ideas, they had to go through Vince, everyone there, and they let him do this. Like they let WWE let themselves get dissected like that. That was crazy.
It's and then my probably one of my favorite parts is the Vince puppet saying, "You're such good shit." I was like, oh my gosh, that's perfect. That's perfect. Yeah, and you know what? That's for everyone else to determine if that's a match, and I think it's perfectly fine. And that's actually it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. That's your choice.
I was gonna say it's my list.
Yeah, and if you don't like his list, you'll get on the list. You'll just make the
Exactly.
list for people who criticize people's favorite matches. You just made the list. You stupid idiots. All right, my number 3 match comes from way back, not way back, but almost back before we were both born. 1997, WrestleMania 13, the iconic double turn, no holds barred submission match, Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Bret Hitman Hart with Ken Shamrock as the special guest referee. Just great stuff. Like this is the passing of the torch moment. This made Steve Austin a star, and like I said, storytelling comes into play on this because Bret was starting to lean heel at this point, and Austin was starting to get popular as a babyface, even though he was still a heel, which he's the anti-hero. Stone Cold's the anti-hero. He's never really fully heel or babyface, even though he's kind of a babyface most of the time. But anyway, like the tides were changing, and this made Austin a star. Bret's attack. I don't think this is a theme that's going to run for the next couple matches. Is the limb work, like Bret's attack on the knee of Austin selling it, and then Austin to work on Bret's back, and then the eventual end of the match where the iconic bloody face as Austin is stuck in the sharpshooter, and then the tease where Austin gets out for a second. They tease it for a second. Austin strength, like he uses that iconic face where he's like straining so hard. He pops himself up and he escapes it for a brief second, you think. But then Bret sets it back into the sharpshooter. Austin eventually passes out. Shamrock has to end the match. And Austin is made a star at that point. It's just great stuff. Bret attacks post-match to cement the double turn. And then Austin walks out on it under his own volition, refusing a referee's help, giving him a Stone Cold Stunner. I think it was Mike Chioda who ate the stunner. And it was just so cool, star-making moment for Austin. This was like a launching point almost for Austin, as he was going to be a star for years to come. And it was kind of almost a passing of a torch in a way, passing of the torch.
Like I say, that iconic camera shot of Steve Austin screaming in agony, trying not to tap. That's something that you see WWE play now. Like, it's iconic.
And like it's Austin's resiliency. That's how he got the respect of the fans during that match. He would refuse to quit. He refused to give up. And that really, I think, earned the fans' respect by the end of the match, even though they already were super hot for him. But yeah, you got to go out and check that one out. Like it's even that Firefly Funhouse. If you're really into cool storytelling tidbits, that one is definitely one you want to check out as well, because storytelling is kind of an important thing in wrestling. It's not just the moves, but we all love moves. Both you and I, we love the moves. Do the moves, as RJ City would like to say. DM Vince, do the moves. Kick out of moves. Kick out of every moves. Kick out of your own moves. Do the moves. Oh man, but here we go. What's your number 2, Jo?
Number 2, AJ Styles versus Finn Balor, TLC 2017. And for that, I had to at least have one match of my favorite wrestler on here. And do I even have to say anything for AJ Styles versus Finn Balor? Like, how often do we get, when WWE gets 2 wrestlers and we say, oh, that'd be a dream match, how often do we get that in WWE? I'd say not a lot. And this is one of those times, AJ Styles versus Finn Balor. and of course that soup. I was about to say super sweet, but that moment, but after the match, Finn Balor, AJ Styles just looking at each other, and then you just throw it up, and then the crowd's loving every second of it. The too sweet. Oh, come on, that's so dope.
And I think that was around the time, if I remember right, it was supposed to be Wyatt and
It was.
Finn.
Yep.
It was a last minute replacement, so they had like some crazy thing where they had to fly AJ in just to have a match. They brought him in. Then he puts Finn over, and then like what, a month and a half later, he wins the WWE title. AJ does. Yeah, it's such a cool one-off match. I wish they would have done more with it afterward. Like that's like a huge deal. And there's so much storytelling you can do it, but WWE refuses to address the past. Like even from other companies, they will not address the past.
Right.
It's like Shinsuke Nakamura and AJ Styles, once in a lifetime, really. And I'm like, it's happened before.
Yeah, it's like I'm pretty sure they wrestled before, and wasn't as good in WWE.
It really wasn't.
No, definitely wasn't. But like I said, Finn Balor, favorite wrestler. AJ Styles, one of the best wrestlers ever. Easy spot on my list.
And up next for me at number 2, Bret Hart versus Owen Hart, brother versus brother, WrestleMania 10 from 1994, the greatest opening match in wrestling history, my opinion alone. And it's just the chemistry these two had, even though they hadn't really worked with each other. It was incredible. The synergy they had, the storytelling they did. It was the night. It's like the storytelling they did throughout the night that WrestleMania too. Like these guys were trying to one up each other throughout the match. Lots of great counter wrestling. Like what I think is missing from today. So you exploit a body part. Like they exploit a body part and they don't really do a ton with it. Like in this match, Owen Hart, like when Bret hurts his knee on a pescado to the outside, like Owen just freaking goes after it. Like it is constant onslaught on the knee. I feel like that's missing from wrestling today.
I would agree. There's maybe a few who are able to do it. I think when Daniel Bryan was still in WWE, he was able to do that.
Mm-hmm. But
I think I might be it.
Like I honestly, I just haven't seen anything like that because like he's just on it for like 3 or 4 minutes straight, just continuing to attack the knee. And the story, kind of this jealous, spoiled brat older brother feeling like he's not getting his spoiled brat younger brother. I mean, feeling like he's not getting his just due because he's overshadowed by his older brother Bret. Like it's such a relatable story.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I have a brother. He's told me he's felt that way before, so I can definitely relate to that.
And that's kind of what wrestling's supposed to do, is you make you relate to what's going on. Like have some kind of connection to what's going on. And like the storytelling is fantastic. And this was just a great professional wrestling match all around. Like at the end of the match, it's great because I think after Bret gets caught in the Owen catches Bret in the sharpshooter, and then Bret counters into his own sharpshooter, which is fantastic, by the way. Owen gets the ropes, and eventually I think Bret gets whipped into the ropes or whatever. He boots, I think Owen charges maybe and boots him. He goes up for a victory roll, and so I think it was a victory roll on Owen, and Owen just sits down and pins his brother clean, 1, 2, 3. And it was like a star-making match it made Owen that night. His brother puts him over. But later on, Bret wins the WWE title, which sets up their feud for later on, leading to a classic steel cage match at SummerSlam that year. This is the greatest opener I've ever seen on a wrestling show. One of the best matches I've ever seen, period, bell to bell. And you watched it too.
Yeah, I definitely agree. An amazing match. Even like you talk about story, of course, but it's also a match where if you didn't even know the story and just thought it was two guys wrestling, it was a good wrestling match. Like
that's the crazy thing. If you know nothing coming into it and you watch it back and you're like, This was a great wrestling match. They were brothers?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Like that's how you know. That's how you know it's a good balance of story and moves slash wrestling. If you can watch it cold and still think it's an amazing match.
Because everything they do is just so crisp and so on point. And like Brett's talked about as one of the greatest of all time. Owen needs to get like his just due as well because he is nearly probably he's right on par with Brett because Brett was more of a ground based guy at the ground based guy. Owen, he could fly, he could do everything. He was incredible. Owen was absolutely incredible. Incredible wrestling match. Which brings us to our number one matches now. Number one matches on our favorite matches of all time list. J.O., what is your number one match? Number one favorite match of all time?
Number one favorite match of all time. WrestleMania 24. Undertaker versus Edge for the World Heavyweight Championship.
Yeah, we went over that one too. We watched that one.
Yep. And I probably mentioned it there, but 2008 was the peak of my WrestleMania fandom, or not even WrestleMania fandom, wrestling fandom. And I actually couldn't watch this match when it was live because 2008 I was still in middle school. Dad would not buy the pay-per-view.
Yeah, I think we were in sixth grade that year.
Yeah, was it sixth? No. What,
yeah, we were in sixth grade. We were in sixth grade.
Oh my God. But wow. But yeah, Dad wouldn't buy the pay-per-view. I didn't have the means to watch it other ways. So the only way I was able to watch it was I don't know if WWE's ever done this since, but for whatever reason, on this WrestleMania, they aired a TV special where they replayed the highlights of the matches and backed it to some super dope soundtracks. And for Undertaker versus Edge, the song they picked was Animal I Have Become, which, if I'm not mistaken, was also on the 2008 SmackDown versus Raw.
07. 07.
07. Okay. 07.
Yeah, because I gotta say that's my favorite that's my favorite like video game soundtrack. It's my favorite wrestling video game soundtrack probably ever.
Right, but seeing the TV special, because Undertaker was my favorite wrestler at the time, and seeing that TV special, seeing that match, it's like, holy crap, this was an amazing match. And again, I talk about the moments. How can you not talk about this match and not talk about Charles Robinson sprinting down the ramp, Ultimate Warrior style, as fast as he can to get the 3 count?
The greatest sprint in wrestling history.
Greatest sprint in wrestling history. And then the finish. You think it's over, and he gets hit with a spear out of nowhere. Well, not out of nowhere. He did the corner thing, so everyone saw it coming. But out of nowhere was Undertaker gets him in the hold.
Hell's Gate.
It's in the middle of the ring. It's in the middle of the ring. Edge can't do anything. And then tap on the ring. It was awesome. I did eventually see the match in its full length because I'm pretty sure they put it on YouTube, maybe not.
They probably put it on YouTube. I had it on DVD back in the day. I bought WrestleMania 24 on DVD, which is a really good WrestleMania, by the way. If you want to check out our review of that, we did that back in, I think, March. We did a WrestleMania 24 review. That was a fun show.
Oh, definitely was. But call it a combination of nostalgia. It's probably mostly nostalgia. One of my favorite wrestlers at the time being in it, and just remembering that soundtrack. It's anytime I think of wrestling, I always think about that match, Undertaker versus Edge.
Mm-hmm. It's a great WrestleMania match. It's like almost like a hidden gem in a way because people don't talk about that match enough either. The theme songs I think for that WrestleMania were "Lighted Up" by Rev Theory, "Snow Ayo" by the Red Hot Chili Peppers too. Those were the two WrestleMania theme songs that year. Gosh, that was a really good WrestleMania. That was the WrestleMania where Jeff Hardy was supposed to win Money in the Bank, and then he failed the wellness.
Yeah, through unfortunate events.
Yeah, he failed the wellness policy, and then his house burnt down. Ugh, that was bad. Bad moment. But another great WrestleMania moment. My number one. Jo, you probably could have guessed this. I assume you would have guessed this. It's Kurt Angle versus Shawn Michaels from WrestleMania 21. There's not much I can say about this match. It's really just two all-time greats going at it in a dream match. WWE giving us the dream match. Michaels selling top-notch stuff here. Angle fantastic as well. Story they told here was fantastic. Angle screaming at him to tap out. He's like, tap out. He's like holding Michaels up and he's just yelling at him because I think it was right after the Angle slam off the top rope. And he's just screaming at Michaels just to tap out. And then Michaels pushes him off, super kicks him, goes for the pin, and it's the longest freaking 2 count I've ever seen in my life. Angle kicks out at the literal. It's like if there was a 2.999999 kick out, I think it was Angle's.
The Angle is awesome at the near falls.
And he doesn't even look. Like
no.
I remember hearing he just closes his eyes and he hears the ref 1, 2, and then pops it up like literally at the last second. And the drama at the end of this match where after Angle kicks out, HBK stands up in like a daze. He's like, what in the bleep am I gonna do to this guy? Have to do to this guy to win? And then Angle rises from the dead, grabs the ankle, and just starts ripping and tearing away at it. And Michael's selling it like it's death. And that was Jerry the King Lawler's call, was like, he rose from the dead. It's like something from a scary movie. He rose from the dead and grabbed that ankle. Oh, that was like one of my favorite calls in history Lawler had there. And then the eventual, like this sequence lasts like a whole minute and a half before HBK finally he's ripping and tearing at his hair, taps out eventually, and it's just a wonderful wrestling match. I don't know how this doesn't get 5 stars. It's 5 stars in my book. But it's like storytelling, just the dream match aspect of it. These guys, this is the dream match that lived up to the hype. There's often times where dream matches don't live up to the hype, like AJ Styles and Nakamura from WrestleMania 34, cough, cough. This one absolutely lived up to the hype.
I'd say, again, it could almost be said the same thing about AJ Styles. On my list, AJ Styles versus Finn Balor, and you just said it. You just say those 2 names, and then that's all you have to say. You just said, like, yeah, Shawn Michaels versus Kurt Angle, and then knowing what you know about the individual wrestlers, you just know it could be, and it was a great match.
Yeah, and like, it's just I can't talk about that match enough. I may go overboard on my love for it, but it's just fantastic. It's such a good match, and like Kurt Angle's my favorite wrestler. So I had a little bit of bias in my list where it was like I had 2 matches from Angle. You tried to stay away from that a little bit with Finn Balor, but you had one with Finn in there at least. Well, yeah, actually, you technically had a couple with Finn in there.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, with the
you did have to. You cheated a little bit. we both cheated a little bit. We really didn't cheat because there was no ground rules laid down for this. It was just pick your top 5 favorite matches of all time.
Yeah, I just wanted it to at least be a balanced list, I guess.
And I think you did a great job. It was a great mix of stuff in your match. You had a cinematic match. You had a match from New Japan in there.
Yep.
You had some gimmick matches in there. You had a gimmick match in there with TLC. Was it TLC? No.
Yeah, TLC.
No, it was
no. It was at TLC.
It was at TLC. Elimination Chamber. That's what I meant.
Yeah, but that is another thing. Since I always talk about I love the moves and the spot fests, I almost had most of them except my number 1 because that's an easy one. Almost most of these were going to be either a Survivor Series or maybe a Fatal 4-Way, but because it's easy to get those spots and moves when you add more people to the mix, but it's like that's not a good list. That's not a balanced list. So yeah, I mean, I try to make it balanced, but yeah, I think it came out all right.
Yeah, I think it all came out all right, and that was a lot of fun talking about our top 5 matches. That was a lot of fun. It kind of brings back memories, really good memories, And that's all we all need is good memories in our pro wrestling. We want to forget the bad ones mostly, but there is some bad ones that are so bad they're good. But I like remembering the good stuff. I love just great professional wrestling matches. Period. That's me. And you know what? If you like sports entertainment, that's cool as well. Sports entertainment, like the Firefly Funhouse match with John Cena and Bray Wyatt. There's wrestling for everybody's taste. You just got to go out and find it.
Exactly.
And if you like it, and somebody criticizes you about it, don't listen. Don't listen. People can have differing opinions about it, and that's okay. But if you like it, stick to your guns. You like it. And don't let people damper your happiness on what you like in professional wrestling, because it's just dumb in this day and age for people to be complete jerks about it. There's ways of being nice and just giving your opinion based on it. And there's a difference between being nice and just giving your opinion on it and being a jerk, complete utter jerk. Don't be a jerk. Be a nice guy and let people love what they love. Damn it.
I got Sigdaddy going on a nice little tangent there. I like it. I'm a fan.
I don't want to do these too often. I don't like doing those. But it gets annoying over time, honestly, though. It does. People can just suck sometimes. But
yep.
That's it. That's just life. That's just life. We move on, we press on, we live another day, and we continue to enjoy our professional wrestling. And I hope you enjoyed this episode. We hope you enjoyed this episode with our top 5 favorite matches of all time. Let us know what your top 5 favorite matches of all time. Send a tweet to @SigDaddyWrestle. Let me know what your favorite 5 matches are, your top 5 favorite matches are of all time. Next week, top moments from AEW Dynamite, the 2-year anniversary. That's this week, this Wednesday. Looking forward to that show. J.O., thank you, as always, for coming on the show. Plug your socials right now.
Like I always say, I'm not that creative, so all of mine are the same, and it's literally my name, @JeremyOrdas on Instagram and Twitter.
And then Sigdaddy Wrestle, you can find my social media is Skylar, Sigdaddy Sigmund, that is. But the Twitter for Sigdaddy's wrestling show is @SigDaddyWrestle. And also on Facebook, it's @SigDaddyWrestle as well. Instagram, sigdaddy.wrestle. On TikTok also as well. I think that's Sigdaddy Wrestle on TikTok as well. I'll have to look that up again and let you know. Let me see. Yes, it's @Sigdaddy Wrestle on TikTok as well. And if you haven't already, make sure to leave a review of the show on Apple Podcasts. It's always appreciated. You can follow the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, the iHeartRadio app, Amazon Music, or wherever you get your dang podcast. Thank you again for joining me, Jeremy, on the show.
Thanks for having me. Always a pleasure to be here.
And for J.O., I'm Skylar Sigdaddy Sigmund, leaving you with these words from the great Rowdy Roddy Piper. You do not throw rocks at a man who's got a machine gun. Just think about that, folks. Have a great week, everybody. So long.